You know, the world of English is a fun and exciting place to be. I'm so glad you could join me for another lesson. Hi everybody, this is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you happy? I hope so. In today's special lesson, we will take a look at the exams and tests that are taken by those hoping to use their second language of English in their lifestyle and career choices. Of course, we are talking about using English as a way of changing your life. So, after many requests and suggestions, I am finally going to guide you through the process of taking your acquired English skills and turning them into a tool to shape your future. But before we begin, let's take a look at two commonly asked questions posed by those who are studying English as a second language. What exactly are these exams, and why do we have to take them? When we talk about ESL, we are naming the action of learning English as a second language. That is to say, what is being learned is other than the person's native language. There is a need to show that a person who has studied English is able to use it in their day-to-day life. This requires a test to be taken. The most common ones are IELTS, TOEFL, and TOEIC. IELTS stands for International English Language Testing System and is a test that is normally taken by those who wish to live or study abroad in an English-speaking country. There are two types of IELTS test: general and academic. The general IELTS test is taken by those who wish to move abroad. They wish to migrate to an English-speaking country. Then there is the academic version, which is for those who wish to enroll for higher education in an English-speaking country. The general test focuses on the day-to-day use of English. English for survival and integration is the rather unpleasant way of describing what this test is analysing. The IELTS test decides whether a person will be able to live and interact with others on a day-to-day basis. It is a test given to show what your grasp of English actually is. IELTS tends to concentrate on the following areas: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. The abbreviation TOEFL stands for Test of English as a Foreign Language. The TOEFL English exam has pretty much the same structure as the IELTS one. The real main difference being that TOEFL was created by the American Evaluation Testing Service, whereas the IELTS test was created with the cooperation of the University of Cambridge and the British Council. Put simply, one is British and the other is American. It is important to note that they are both internationally recognised exams of English proficiency. However, IELTS is more often taken by those wishing to move to or study in Great Britain, while the TOEFL exam is mainly taken by those wishing to stay or study in North American countries. Both of these tests take around 3 to 4 hours to complete. Those wishing to migrate to the UK, Australia or Canada must pass the IELTS test in order to have their application accepted. It's worth noting that over the past few years, these rules have been tightened, with Australia now being one of the hardest countries in the world to gain citizenship in. Finally, there is another English language test that is considered to be one of the world's leading evaluation exams. It is the Test of English for International Communication, or TOEIC for short, which is commonly used by companies and organisations to promote, place and hire employees. Once again, this test has been created to evaluate the ability and level of someone's day-to-day English. It is worth noting that for work in a specific industry, a person might have to explain and know the definitions of specialist words. Business English skills might be tested for those wishing to work abroad for a company based in an English-speaking country or one with headquarters there. The origins of the TOEIC exam are interesting in that it was created for business purposes in Japan in the 1970s. These days, the TOEIC test is recognised all around the world. The TOEIC test is carried out in two parts. The first part is a listening and reading test, which consists of 200 multiple choice questions. Each multiple choice question gives you the correct answer along with incorrect ones. You have to choose the correct answer. For example, Paul lost his phone on the to school. Is it A, pass, B, way, or C, path? If you chose B, then that would be the correct answer. The listening and reading section is designed to put your understanding and knowledge of English to the test. It is not just a matter of remembering words and sentences. Your cognitive abilities are being put to the test as well. This part of the test checks your comprehension and listening skills. This is one of the hardest parts of the TOEIC exam, as each audio test is only played once. So, beware. The second part of the TOEIC test consists of a speaking and writing exam. Needless to say, the first part is the one most students dread. The thought of having to speak out loud to a stranger in a stressful situation is not one that many feel comfortable with. You will need to make sure that you are ready for this part of the test. Normally this section is done in the form of questions and answers. The speaking section consists of visual questions. You will be asked to make comments and verbally describe things shown to you. The writing section is similar to the spoken part, but instead of speaking, you will be writing. This will also be in the form of questions and answers and observations. Overall, the standardised English tests mentioned today take on the same form. They are all designed to test the key abilities required by most English-speaking countries from those wishing to work or study there. All that is, except the United Kingdom. Changes made in 2014 mean that the TOEIC exam is not recognised as a formal test anymore in Britain. For those wishing to work, live or study in the UK, an IELTS test must be taken instead. The way in which each test is scored and how long they last varies slightly. In the IELTS test, the exam lasts around 3 hours. There is no actual pass or fail at the end. Each test is graded overall. A final grade band is tallied, and this banding decides what your English proficiency level is. The highest band is 9, which indicates that you are very fluent in English. This band is classed as expert level. Needless to say, the lowest level is 0, which means you have no fluency in English whatsoever. This score indicates that the person who took the test did not even try. In all fairness, the average band level is between 6 and 8. You will of course be aiming for a 7 to 8 band. Anything over 6 is considered as being competent. The TOEFL test takes around 4 hours to complete, with a break in the middle. Unlike the IELTS exam, the TOEFL test has a final score marked in points. The maximum points possible is 120, with the lowest being 0. The least acceptable score is around 60. To assure yourself of a good academic placement, a score of over 110 will be required. Just like the IELTS test, you will be examined on your ability to listen, express, read, and write. Once again, it is worth mentioning that the TOEFL test is taken by those wishing to apply for a visa in North American countries, such as the USA, while the IELTS is for those wishing to apply for a visa in English-speaking countries, such as Canada, Australia, or the United Kingdom. The types of questions asked in an English test have a similar theme and goal. Many of them are designed to gauge your ability to communicate on a daily basis in society. Some questions are designed to trick or catch you out. Listening and multi-choice questions can be the trickiest ones to get right because of the added pressure and the obvious time limit. But this is the whole point of the test, to see how well you handle yourself in certain everyday social situations. This can involve doing something simple, like asking for a loaf of bread in a supermarket, to explaining why you want to study in a particular country. My 3 key sentences for showing what is required by these tests are: think in English, express in English, speak in English. One of the other big questions asked by those learning English is, what must I do to prepare for the English test? First of all, let me say that there are no quick routes or fast tracks to mastering English. Anyone who tells you this is lying. As cliched as this might sound, the only way of getting something out of the test is to put some effort in first. This applies to everyone learning English, whether they are attending full or part-time classes, or if they are studying alone. You only get out what you put in. As you move forward with your studies, you must keep evaluating your progress. Pinpoint your weak points. Find out what your weaknesses are in English. For some, this might be reading, while for others, this might be listening or comprehension. If you are serious about taking an English test, then you must practice English every day. The key to success in these tests requires that you do the following. To master English, you need to create an environment in which it can grow and flourish. You should view English as a part of your body, just as you would an arm or leg. Make it a part of your everyday life. Large strides begin with small steps. Do not rush your studies. Focus on one part at a time. Don't overdo it, and remember to take a rest. Know your weaknesses. Find out what your weak points of using English are. If it's reading, read more. If it's listening, then why not put on a few English DVDs Or better still, listen and watch some of Mr. Duncan's English lessons. Focus on your strengths as a way of combating your weaknesses. Never be afraid to ask for help and never give up. Record yourself and listen to your voice and get used to the way it sounds. Don't be afraid to speak out loud. Repeating things again and again is not a waste of time, as practice makes perfect. A test that doesn't test is not a test at all. Remember, you can never know too much, but you can always know too little. Understand what each part of the English test will expect from you. All of the approved tests concentrate on your ability to read, write, listen, comprehend, and speak. I hope this lesson has been useful to you, and I would like to wish you all the best with your English tests, and I hope that you get to enjoy the success that comes with all of the hard work you've put into your English studies. Don't forget, you never really stop learning English, as there is always something new to discover. So, I hope you will join me very soon for another lesson. This is Mr. Duncan in the birthplace of the English language. That is, of course, England, saying thank you for watching me, teaching you. And of course, until next time, ta-ta for now.